Hey, Decathlon Gamer, welcome back to Vicky 3, episode 26. Last time out, we recovered a whole bunch of deficits when it came to, uh, well, our baseline up here. A lot of that came down to the fact that we had upgraded our military fully, and that came with a huge expense. Now that we have a nice positive balance, we're going to try to get that positive balance economy-wise, money-wise. In particular, we're going to try to get that a little bit higher up so that we can once again turn the construction up to level 2. And a big part of that is going to be tooling workshops, as we have had ever since a huge deficit when it came to that. You can see we are actually also now having a deficit in wood, so it looks like we're going to have to address that one. We are also having just a minor supply network issue. As it appears we're not making enough. Looks like we don't have enough imports to handle the incoming and outgoing of our network. We're also a little bit short here in Kanto, transportation wise. I do believe I have a railway queued up already for that. I do. We are getting sucked into a war as we have a defensive pact with Great Britain that just formalized recently, and it is a revolt. Proletarian revolt, so I'm not sure where exactly they're going to wind up at, but it looks like it's in the homeland. And yeah, here comes a big advancement. Wondering if I should send 20 units with our single general. Bit of a deficit on this front, so we'll contribute to that front eventually. Might as well. Like I said, we want to be friends with Great Britain. Alright, so we have our forces added into the front, and realistically there's 2 active fronts, 1 inactive front that neither one's bothered with. The Proletarian have taken South Africa. On this southern front, it's kind of just holding steady, and that's where we have added in some troops, but meanwhile there's control on this northern front, and that's where they are currently actively winning the war, which is turning things in the favor of Great Britain proper, the side that we are on. The only other nation offering support here on our front is British Raj has a little bit going on. Otherwise it's just Great Britain doing it themselves. Looks like the British Raj ones have kind of just come in because our number's increasing a bit. But we are very much involved in these wars here, so maybe. I don't know if it's a possibility, but maybe you get enough on the right side of Great Britain and get the alliance, and for all I know, maybe at some point you can use a favor to get legitimacy recognition. I don't know if that's a possibility or not. Already at a negative, the revolt looks like it's not going to last a whole lot longer. The northern front is collapsing further and further all the time. And there it is, capitulation. Also, our balance is now at 13.8, so it's just about where I wanted it to get. I didn't think it would happen quite this fast, that we would get to that 15,000 target of mine, so that we could turn construction up. Also, I wanted to make sure we had some gold reserves. It's up to 3.3 million. A lot of discoveries there in Africa, resource-wise, so there's a lot of possibilities going forward that we really wouldn't have otherwise here in Japan. Network strength is back up to 100%. Available convoys versus required convoys, we have just a little bit more than what is necessary. Now, wood might have a big deficit, but the balance, it's not bad. Balance is not bad at all, so it's rather a minor increase to what the price is. Tools, though, and that's why even though the balance is not as bad, tools is a huge concern, and one that we have to just continually get after and improve the situation of. But coal, likewise, seems a little easier to fix right now, so let's invest in coal and then dye and sugar. Coal, dye, and sugar. 4 coal mines already on the way. So let's work on the dye and sugar. Apparently it's a period of radical uprisings, as there are 3 active ones happening right now all over the place. Okay, so I've unlocked mutual funds to get extra minting, which again is another little boost to the economy. We just went from 13,500 to 16,500, so it added about 3,000 to the economy with the extra 10% minting. That also was the trigger point for me to attempt to turn up construction again. I do expect it to immediately have a negative balance, and probably by 12 to 15,000. But we have some reserves, and with the increased rapidity, how fast we're able to construct things, I hope to cover it off before too long, and hope to keep it open. And all we have to do is turn it back down at some point if we're unable to do so. If it eats up our reserves, we just turn it back down. It also feels like a perfect time to do this just because we happen to be halfway through the playthrough. It's 1886, so we've done 50 years. Well, let's see what this does. The wood, iron, fabric, and tools demand are all going to go up, and we were not in a great state for any of those. It is going to be costly. It's going to be very costly up front. But it pushes us more than double what we had. And we'll see what that economy does for the balance is better? No, there you go. There's that translation as things kick in. Minus 12,000. So I was saying minus 12 to 15. So there you go. It's actually right about where we were. At the low end of what I was expecting, actually. So demands, tools, obvious. Knew that one was coming. Iron is also at a big deficit right now, and probably an easier fix than some of the others. So let's try to address the iron need first. Looks like a couple industries hadn't quite settled in and are still doing so, and we're seeing that balance, fluctuate a little bit more and closer to what I was actually expecting of 15,000, as the needs from one industry puts pressure on the next industry, which then puts pressure on the next industry, so on and so forth. And that ultimately is still kind of panning out, as each industry is altering the cost of the next industry. So that trickle down effect is kicking in. Coal, though, price is getting better. Things are looking better there. Dye is going to get addressed soon, hopefully. More tools on the way. With rapid production now at 75, I do think we can turn this around a lot faster. That 15,000 deficit is where it seems to have kind of topped out at, but gold reserves at 3.74, and I think we can get things done pretty quick. We'll see if that's the case. Keep an eye on it. Like I said, if we get to that stage where we're about to run out of gold reserves, we just turn it back down. It'll be okay. I like that serfdom abolished is one of the targets, yet nobody actually supports it, so I'm not sure how radicalism exists from a group of non-existent people. By the way, state growth is still rather slow for the colonizing efforts. France up to Darfur now, back to our first playthrough group. Shanti still exists in their original state. They have not grown at all. Darfur has not grown at all. And Persia has not grown at all. So all 3 of our original playthroughs, halfway through this one, remain at the exact same size that they were before. We've already boosted the economy by about 1,000. Brings off some of this regular debt, but we've also lost 250,000 so far of the gold reserves. We've already turned that deficit down by about a quarter, 4,000, almost 4,000 coming off of it. And we've cut it to under 10,000, so we are a third of the way covered off on the deficit now. And meanwhile, the balance has come down by nearly 1 million. But again, the rate at which it decreases is going to give us more time as we get closer to getting it right. Already we're nearly there, just 3,000 for the deficit now. Really closing in on turning that around. So I think we finally have construction, hopefully now on a permanent basis, set to 75, and that's going to allow us to grow that economy in a much more rapid manner, which is what we're going to need if we are going to compete, because right now we're covering off a military that way we're back up to 11th. We've done it. Okay, so things have changed. We're up to 11th. We are now an unrecognized major power, and we are the closest outside of the actual major powers. So we've seen a number of them kind of fall off, and we find ourselves back into a strong position. Well, like that 12th. But with an army power projection of 636, it's nowhere near enough. Let's get the economy to a positive balance, and then we'll start to see about raising more forces, and what kind of the next tier would be, which I know something I'm researching right now is the medical side of things. Triage is what we're working on, so that is something that is going to contribute to a stronger military. Triage unlocked, so I'm going to try to turn the military up another level, even though we don't quite have that positive balance yet, but we are so close to it. I want to keep our military in the best state we can possibly manage to get them in, because that's how we're going to eventually get that breakthrough, right? We've gotten back into being strong, but still unrecognized. So we've got to raise it to the next level. We're going to also have to expand. We have not added any barracks since the start of this. To get first aid, we're going to need opium, which we don't have. So opium is very, very costly. We need 107 opium. We're going to need 107 more fabric. Fabric's not a big cost that I'm terribly worried about. The instant substitution is an additional cost of 12,000, but most of that's coming from the opium cost. So let's work on seeing if we can get an opium market going before we turn that. Opium not available to us right now. Even Qing does not have. So for some reason it's unavailable. They're not putting out enough. Neither is Persia. And we have added another 10 million to our GDP in 3 years, or roughly thereabouts. Might have been just before that when we had hit that 50 million mark, but we're now at 60 million. So things are growing rapidly. And actually, in the meantime, I'm slowly getting our standard of living up a bit. I mean, it was a low 8.5 maybe. It's up over 9. Population only slowly increasing right now at 40.4 million, but it is increasing. So I haven't quite turned that positive balance, as we keep flooding one part of the market and then another goes down, and you can see tools just how short we are right now. But I'm trying to address a few of the other needs, like iron. We have a few being made right now to help lower that cost. Tobacco's on the way. There's a good demand for it, so it will continue to make good money. I think the demand will go up. Price should stay roughly the same. But we have largely addressed coal as an issue. We had largely addressed paper as an issue, but it's slowly starting to become a bit of an issue once again. Dye is still a pretty big concern, but not as bad as it was. Glass is another one that we are slowly addressing, and the cost is starting to come down there. So we are fixing the economy bit by bit. It's just there's a lot to do, but now it's happening. So I had turned just a single industry up where we were using more steel when it came to the tooling. I think we're gonna go ahead and turn up a couple more of those now. The oddballs, the single ones, that's 3 more. We'll turn up Kazembe as well, that's 4 more. The big ones we'll keep the same for now, but turning those up should help a little bit with the tool shortage, but it is going to suddenly make the needs higher elsewhere. And iron, was just in the low 50s. We've brought it down to 45, but it's probably going to go back up with greater demand for steel, which then is going to have greater demand for iron. Arms industry is something I haven't addressed in a while, and that's a good way to save money. We have a positive balance. We have a positive balance. Okay, folks, we are getting there. Okay, switching our military now from line infantry to skirmish infantry. Cost is 5,000, but with a positive 1,000 balance, that's only going to hurt us by an estimated 4,000. It's going to increase ammunition consumption by 100, which is not much, and I've already started the arms industry for that and the ammunition industry, so the demand's going to be there, which means we're going to respond to it. Though I'm sure there's going to be some kind of trickle down effect of some things needing to be addressed, but our 605 power projection is going to go up by 535. We're nearly doubling it. Our offense is plus 10, defense plus 5, morale loss remains the same. Hasn't finished the job, but that power projection is rising now at 852, at only a slight deficit. Okay, I also think it's time to do another bold thing that's going to probably have a downfall of a negative balance for at least a little while. We still have gold reserves at 2 million, and it just jumped. Holy cow. Okay, we covered it off. We have a positive balance and growing rapidly. Growing rapidly right now. So, that's because we're not doing construction. Construction is timing out. So let's go ahead and take the tooling workshops and do what it was that I was about to do. We are turning all of it up to steel tools. Increase is steel. So we need to be producing a lot more steel than what we've been producing. So we're turning all of them up to it, which means we're going to need steel mills. 3 is not going to be sufficient. Making some changes to the market, the way things are balanced, what the demands are, where things are coming from. I'm starting to turn some industries up. So far, it's working out. We have a positive balance of 3,000. Our tool shortage has actually come down quite a bit. The cost of them has come down quite a bit. It looks like I now have a shortage of lead that needs to be addressed. We still have a shortage of steel that is currently being addressed. So right now, lead, steel, and as always, more tools. I'm going to try something here. Switching from filing cabinets to a standardized filing system is going to increase the demand of paper by almost 400, which I'm probably going to need to do something to address that. I can see it driving the price up quite a bit. But bureaucracy, 2.5 thousand higher, and taxation capacity going up by 585. So even though we're going to lose 16,000, that taxation capacity is going to instantly cover off a lot of that. I believe, and the paper is the big cost that we're trying to address. So let's see if we can address that. Meanwhile, I think university-wise, we want to get some more university on the go by a fair bit. Let's get some more people employed, you know? We're finally in a situation where publicly owned makes sense, and so we're making a huge push to switch things over to public, away from private ownership. So much for Great Britain liking us. They suddenly decide they do not like us anymore and are now belligerent towards us. Defensive pact is gone. And now Russia decides they do not like us as well. I have a feeling that we are maybe getting powerful. That's the reason to change the status, because we've had these positive relationships for so long, and maybe we are getting threatening because our prestige has risen by another 100, almost 150. Still seen as 13th in the world. Guessing Qing is probably the only one above us. Wondering if we should get into something together with them. They have that defend their borders. Positive balance, by the way, so we have finally hit the status we're looking for here. Still hovering around 0, but it's coming up. GDP, nearly 75 million. It was 50 million just 6 years ago. It was 60 million. We reached 60 million 6 years ago. We've brought it up by 13.5 million in just 6 years. Literacy up to 28% for the first time. Standard of living is coming up. It's so low though, but we have a positive balance. 40 million and growing in population, and we have not been taking lands. We're not doing things through war right now. We are just turning ourselves into a much more powerful nation. The military has gotten stronger. Our power projection has gone up by about 300. I'm also in the works of starting to expand. Actually already have, so 5 more battalions, so now that power projection is right. A construction sector building throughput should lead to, I have no idea what it's going to take, but that seems like a good place. Let's see what that one gets us. Our weekly innovations up to 85. By the way, I doubled our universities. We are getting research done quite a bit faster than before. New short-term goal, as the balance, even though it's not great, it is positive. I am starting to address a couple needs. 2 short-term goals. One, let's raise that standard of living a little bit. Let's get some more furniture, some more clothing, more food on the market and help address basic needs. Second, naval and just port in general. One, our entire Africa area is losing access to the market because our network supply, we don't have enough convoys. So I'm making quite a few new ports. I'm also adding a lot of transportation, a lot of railways, and that's going to hopefully boost things where I can actually turn up some other industries to use the railway, because right now there's really only 2 or 3 industries that are even on it, because there's just, things are big and we don't have that much in terms of rail transportation. Now, there was a cost that came with it, but we did get throughput up by 10%, which has seen our construction rise by another 10. That cost, currently sees us with a small deficit in the economy, but again, things are going to get constructed even faster. Just went through a period where the construction that we were doing were all projects that were going to take a while, and so as I kept queuing up more and more and more to try to address certain areas of the economy, we weren't really progressing very fast there for a little bit. So hopefully now that we're past that period, things are going to kind of take off again, because I keep wanting to go back and queue up things that have already been queued up just because they hadn't been done as of yet. By the way, urbanizing Japanese shogunate is something we've been working on for a really long time, and we've got our level 10 in Kansai. Hokkaido is in terrible shape, by the way. Hokkaido is not doing well and has no population to spare. But anyway, but getting other areas to level 5 has been trickier because we really focused on just 3 areas. And so we have a lot of those states, have that level 3, right? This is a level 16 urban, a level 12 urban, a level 17 urban. So those are great. That's level 5. But that's level 0. There's nothing here because there's no population in Hokkaido. It's really, really struggled. Turmoil is high and has been high for a very long time. They're not happy. We keep getting negative event after negative event there. Oh, here we have a level 4. So, maybe something like a university could give us the boost we need. Paper mill seems to be doing a go. Try to get that to a level 5. We're at 450. We're not far from level 5. That's only a level 2. That is a level 7. But then we keep adding in the states here, which don't have much of a level at all. And Zanzibar is our best chance at getting a multi-level something going here. Looks like a couple countries have gained recognition, because as we are unrecognized, 13th is the highest we could rank, but we are 14th overall. I believe Qing is the one who is above us in terms of rankings. Yes, Great Qing. So Great Qing is second in prestige, but as they are unrecognized, we are the most powerful otherwise. Prussia is recognized but weak. Spain is recognized but weak. Here's those world rankings as of right now as we approach the turn of the century and the end of this episode. So France is currently number 1. Huge advantage. They are so powerful compared to everybody else. Great Britain not doing terribly well in this playthrough. They are only 5th. Italy is 4th. The US is 3rd. We haven't even gone there yet. curious whether we could even start to try to improve relations with them or not. Austria is second. It seems like we now have a communist Spain and Spain. No wonder that's happening. Is that a good opportunity to, look how weak they are. Could we take war to Spain? It looks like they're currently at war already. Take advantage of that, get in there and gain recognition. When you put them back together, I would imagine they're still only right about there. Prussia is also experiencing a similar problem right now. The East India Company is considered a great power and not terribly strong. I wonder if that's your ticket, right? Because around here, they have a lot of battalions though. My oh my, that is our shortage. Now the strength of those battalions, right? If we have 800 with less than half the battalions, we double the battalions, presumably we go up to about 1,600. So it looks like East India Company might be our ticket to something. But you know that, okay, they've got Jambi defensive pacts, so nothing there, but they've got rivalries. Maybe you can get France on your side and get Prussia on your side. Truce with Great Britain. They are no longer tied to Great Britain. That was the one that I was going to point out, being, your big threat is Great Britain. It's going to stand in the way, but it looks like they're not. They are not. So therefore, as a major power, the East India Company has no allies. Rivalries. That could be kind of the path forward. Here is that forced recognition, and yes, we would face them, and then Jambi, nothing. But we don't know what their state's going to be in a number of years. Now, Russia doesn't like us though. Italy does. Great Qing does. Oh my, what would that be if we can get them on our side? Austria, I think we need to work on relations, and France. Great Britain is cautious. Here is that war where communist Spain might be flipping to a communist nation before long here, from the looks of things. But I do think that East India Company, that's our ticket forward. With allies offering favors and whatnot, maybe that's going to do something. But, who's belligerent towards us? Well, Russia. Russia is very belligerent towards us. So, what if you went that direction? Well, the problem here is we would also face Spain and Egypt and Morocco, a whole lot of additional enemies. But they themselves, I'm assuming, are pretty dang tough. Yeah, quite a bit tougher than the East India Company. Getting Great Qing on our side. I mean, how strong are they? 5,000. 5,000. Wow. There's a way to win a war with Russia. Getting Great Qing to support you. All right, well, that is our stopping point for today, but as we approach that turn of the century, we've made good things happen. We've made our military stronger yet again. We have expanded our construction significantly. It's plus 50 from the 33 that it was. Massive uptick, and the economy is growing quite rapidly now as a result. In 30 years, we've gone from 50 million GDP to 84 million GDP. I mean, that's huge. Meanwhile, the population has only gone up by 1 million. So it's not, as the population grows, the economy grows. We have grown the economy at an extreme rate. Right now, we are in the market for friends, as we are looking to take care of that objective of gaining recognition, and then that other short-term goal of what made Japan so strong and so mighty and nearly successful when it came to World War II, especially on the early side of it, as they grew rapidly in the first 6 months of the war, is to force recognition by having a very, very strong Navy being a big part of that. So we are starting to get the Navy to be a piece of what we're trying to make happen here. That is going to do it for this one, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.